Hello. Welcome back to my channel. My name is IJ, and if you just stumbled across this channel, please by all means support me by hitting the like button, share this video with your friends and family, and indeed, please subscribe. And if you don't know who I am a blogger. I talk about various aspects of life on this channel, and I do hope you watching, should you have any story you want to share, by all means please write in, and you'll find my email address in the description, and become a subscriber, participate, and hopefully building a community. So what do I talk about? I talk about life stories, lifestyle. I don't mean necessarily fashion, I mean the things that affect each and every one of us all over the world. I talk about relationships in terms of whether they're marriage, your family, your friends, and indeed trending topics. So you're very welcome. So on today's topic, I want to make a part 2 of forgiveness. The simple word forgiveness. Perhaps because of the sermon that was talked about in my church service that prompted me. If you look into some of my videos, previous videos of course, I think I have made 1 or 2 videos regarding forgiveness. And on this occasion, I will simply make it short. Because forgiveness is that word some of us do not necessarily like to talk about. And some of us feel that when we talk about forgiveness, it means that you are weak. And some of us feel like, you feel pained quite naturally from whatever experience you've had in your life. And I also think one of the things that prompted me was listening to a program on television recently. In fact, it is, it is a Nigerian version of Real Housewives of Lagos. In their first reunion, they asked Laura, who's herself, I believe, is a vlogger. I'm not really in touch, I will confess, with a lot happening in Nigeria. I'm more into Real Housewives of, Beverly Hills, more Orange County, all that. But I found it intriguing, and I was quite proud of the fact that Bravo found it in their heart, or found it worthy to bring the Real Housewives into Nigeria. But whilst Laura was being interviewed, I think the op-ed was asking her, what kind of person are you? And what she said is something I've heard a few people say, whether jokingly or seriously, ever since I was a young girl. And she basically said, I thought she'd try to give impression in the program like she was just in a form, anything goes. And she more or less proudly said, I actually bear grudges. In fact, I do bear grudges. I could hold on to something for 4 or 5 years, and I find it very difficult to let go. Now, this is not about Laura. It's just to give you an example, because I really don't know any of those ladies. It's not what I'm here for. And then I went to church with my family, and I like the way the preacher, the vicar, was talking about forgiveness, which synchronizes with my own belief. And I know I wouldn't say African mentality, it's just that I grew up initially in Nigeria, in Africa, and I have relatives, of course, I have friends, and it's not to say you don't find people like that in America, in Europe, and what have you. The point I'm trying to make is that if you're one of those people watching this and you are so used to bearing grudges, now I'm coming into this from 2 perspectives, as a Christian and a proud one, and as somebody who likes to believe I live my life with principles, especially the principles I have tried and successfully imbibed in my children. And that is the fact that it is not something to be proud of. Forgiveness, I want you to understand, it's not easy. it's not because it's something that you inherently want to do. But forgiveness is not weakness. Forgiveness is actually an act of strength, an act that you can only do when you want to do it consciously. And sometimes it can be even very difficult to forgive someone who is not even repentant or humbled by their mistake. And you who are, if you're like Laura, who thinks it's a great thing to bear grudges, I want to tell you, both from a Christian perspective and your mental health, you are actually, without knowing it, you're actually the weak one. And let me explain to you why. One, someone, I think it was Nelson Mandela, who said that hating someone is like drinking poison and hoping it kills your enemy, whoever the enemy you decide to, make. Because I've come to realize in my 53 years, yes, I'm 53, I'm proud. Sometimes in life, you don't seek trouble. Trouble finds you. And sometimes in life, no matter how much you try to swallow, some people, it's like the devil is trying to use them to test you or try to upset your life balance and what have you. And you cannot allow that for whatever reason. So if you're like a grudge parent, one thing is for sure, maybe you've grown up that way, maybe it's in your nature, and this work in your nature, I'm a great believer that you can actually change things about your nature that you know are not true, are not right. So bearing grudges is not good for your mental health. And if you claim to be a Christian, you have to be the biggest liar who claims to be a Christian, because one of the basic fundamental things our Bible teaches us, and I'm sure in other religions, because I'm yet to come across any religion, whether you're Jewish, Muslim, Hindu, whatever, that preaches against forgiveness. But in this case, I'll leave it in the Christian scope. So you cannot say you pray to God, and you cannot claim to be a child of God if you know that your heart is not clean where your friend or your family member is. And you think that bearing grudges is a way, more or less, of controlling that person. You're mistaken. In fact, sometimes narcissists use bearing grudges to think that they can control the person that has not necessarily done something wrong, but perhaps they haven't done what the narcissist was expecting them to do. So bearing grudge is not good for your mental health. You are living in an illusion. You are making it, maybe your life, in fact, I put it this way, I'm a great believer that when you have peace in your life, life is good to you, it's easy to let go of bad things that do not make sense in your life. And so bearing grudges from a human perspective is not good for your mental health. And if you're a Christian, you are lying to yourself daily by claiming you're a child of God, but you cannot let go. And let me tell you, if you are a grudge bearer, one tip I will give you watching this is very simple. Learn the art of communication. And what do I mean by that? I speak from a personal experience and a cultural experience. Like I said earlier, I originally grew up in Nigeria. I've been blessed to travel to over 100 countries around the world. I've lived in 6 countries around the world, from Bulgaria to Fiji, from Australia to Swaziland, and what have you. And I know, and I'm only saying African, but I can tell you the reason I mention where I've traveled is because through my travels, God has blessed me that, I love traveling just like my husband and my children. The 2 things that attract me, food and the culture. So when I say this, I'm not saying that other cultures or people do not have similar bad traits. So what I'm saying is not just applying to Africans, it applies to Asians, Europeans, whoever or wherever in the world you are. So one tip to let go off that bondage. You are holding yourself and thinking you're holding someone who's busy living their best life. Or perhaps you bear grudges and you go around lying against somebody you just cannot help yourself from hating. Especially when you claim to be a Christian, I would advise you to pray for yourself and pray over it. Because sometimes it's almost, demonic, let me be honest, where someone will take such hatred because a friend or your sister or your brother have done something that is so easily resolvable by just talking to one another. So your simple solution to avoid and learn how to relearn how not to bear grudges is this. Learn the art of communication. What do I mean? I'm a strong believer in communication. Because you see, when you are involved with someone, whether it's on a business level, platonic level, sibling level, romantic level, one of the biggest misconceptions that causes a lot of row is when someone, especially the grudge bearer, is not able or has not even told the person you are so angry and bitter. And this bitterness could go on from year 1 to year 2. Before you know it, it's 10 years, it's 20 years, it's 10. And you can only pray for such people because it doesn't even make sense. I mean, to err is human. You've heard that word. And by not communicating, if someone you feel has done something you do not like, unless you're such a control freak and you are just so jealous you can't help yourself, again, I'll say pray for yourself. Because it's not right, it's not fair for you, for your own mental health. Is to express to someone and tell them how or what you feel they have done to wrong you. And communicate it in a very simple, positive way. Trust me, you'll be surprised how much you can resolve through life. You have less enemies, you have less things to be angry about, you have less things thinking you're plotting against someone when God is busy blessing them. So you see, by people having a lack of communication, often it misconstrues another person who probably is not thinking what you're thinking. And that is one of the biggest flaws I've come across in my 53 years with human beings. And I don't want to say it frustrates me, not anymore, but I couldn't be bothered. And I want you to learn not to be bothered. If something about your friend or your sister or your brother, rather than listening to chit-chat behind or looking for excuses, call that person. Today, we all have easy ways of making calls or communication because you see, you could be thinking what that person is not thinking and you are busy being so bitter, or you are busy expecting someone else to second guess what you are thinking or what you expect them to do for you or not. And often, you see, I'm talking from experience again, sometimes it's easier for people who are not even in your life to budget what they want, whether it's money they're expecting from you, material things, or whatever behavior or someone thinks as adults. They don't even realize they want to control another adult. And to be honest, there are very few adults, unless they've got something wrong in their brain, that you can control. And nobody likes to be controlled. Definitely not me. I don't control my children. So if I don't control my children, I don't see how I would allow any adult to control me. And trying to control someone does not mean that if it's not even anything to be debated. And so all I'm saying, learn the art of communication. If someone you feel has overstepped a mark or done something to you, don't talk behind is recipe for disaster. And learn to communicate and say to someone, look at what I feel you've done to me. I'm not happy. And give that person an opportunity to answer you. And if you've heard something or someone comes to you to tell you about someone, Don't jump into other people's battle. Don't jump into conclusion. Do the needful thing is give somebody opportunity by letting them know this is what so and so told me, or what I feel you didn't do when I'm because like I keep saying, you'd be surprised, because I've had it in my own life where people, I don't want to say relatives or friends, but people are quick to say, please, you have to send me some money. You have to, wherever you are, I don't know how you guys see, but one, it sounds crude in my ears. It's not the way we talk here. Two, it's not that you want to go around, spreading problems or issues, but there's an assumption on someone else who probably you're busy talking about your own things, plans you have. And even if somebody wanted, whether it's your time or your money or your house or your whatever, your car, communicate. You might be surprised if the person is in a position to do what you want, they will do it. If they're not, they will be able to explain to you, because after what I've come to realize that most people think their problem is always, or their wants is always the only one. It's not so. Other people, just because they're not shouting to you or begging you or you want something from someone, does not mean that you deserve it, does not mean that they owe you, does not mean that they can smell their fingers and know what you're thinking. But what I can assure you is that if you if you think what you're asking for is legitimate, there shouldn't be a problem of you communicating it to that other person, and then let them. And even if the person turns around and for whatever reason they are not able to fall into the line of what you want, still accept it with grace, because you don't know what that person is dealing with. And a good example, I have a good friend, a good old classmate, acquaintance, who wrote me just recently, IJ, I'll be meaning to contact you by the weekend. And I thought, this is refreshing, because usually I'm the one that's always making this international call to this other friend. And then they went ahead to write to me about, some old classmate who wrote them, but they're not sure they're going to contact them, and they're looking to see, they're asking for help, for money, and they really need help because they haven't got a job, Now, there's nothing wrong with that. But I could tell, first of all, I did tell the person, be very careful, because I know a couple of people whose social media accounts have been hijacked. Then secondly, by all means, help the person if you can. The person that we're talking about, I haven't even spoken to, written to for God knows how long, maybe over 30 years now. I don't know. My heart goes out to them. But what surprised me, I could be wrong, was the same person, her reply came back, the person that said they were going to call me, decided to write me to say, I've spoken to the person on video, and I'll do this, I'll do that, and they were quoting me the Bible, fine. Because I'm not easily swayed. I am my own Christian, and I follow my own Bible, my heart. I please God, not man. And those that know me know I'm not what you may call stingy, but I'm also sensible. But I was quite clear with the person, which was true. I didn't have to explain, but that's true. I know I've just been involved in helping a few other people barely a few days before you're telling me this. Now, I could tell already by the person writing me and saying, you call me whenever you have time. I thought, is this were you going to call me only because of what you were? I don't know. But the reason I'm saying this is that, you see, I can almost sense, maybe I'm being oversensitive, but I've had so many bad experiences with people where someone, it's not for me to sit here and explain to you or explain to that person, But there's an assumption just because you're in a position you want to help someone, and there's nothing wrong with, whoever this classmate is, I'm sure they can reach me if they wanted, but you don't know what I've been dealing with currently. Or, like some of you get yourselves into trouble trying to impress people, and I'm supposed to stretch myself, and I've got bigger business plans or investments or what, and it doesn't mean that I don't help people or do things, whether it's in your local church or with your charity or other relatives or friends. But there's an assumption without proper communication that the person you're expecting to do just what you feel like you're going to do. And after all, let's face it, one person or two helping someone in Africa should be good enough. Everybody has their own burden. I have nothing against it. Who knows? Maybe tomorrow, maybe next tomorrow, but I don't see why someone I haven't communicated, and I've just been dealing. I have a lot on my plate I'm dealing with, and I have people, I told her bluntly, I'm helping and I've just helped. So, forget about that. That's not the point. The point I'm trying to make here is avoid overestimating other people's resources. It's not just about money. It could be about time. Somebody getting angry because you're not able to come when they expect you to come, without even understanding what your logistics, what is going on in your life. And just because you're not out there crying or stressing out or showing and just handling it with you, your God, and your family, that you don't have your own issue. So, going back to forgiveness, if you are a grudge bearer, I want to encourage you, learn and practice the art of forgiveness. Pray over yourself, because to be honest with you, you're running a risk both before God first and before man with your own health. Because if your heart is not clean, say you go out there, God forbid, a car strikes you down or something happens, and you stand before God, what would you say? Or do you think that because you wake up the next day is by your power? No. Or how ready are you if anything happened to you today? Would you really say you've got a clean heart? Because a clean heart is not just about someone or people doing what you want at the time you want. And I can tell you, as someone, quite rightly, I personally feel wronged by a lot of people I've met in my lifetime. I had to learn to keep my sanity. And keeping my sanity meant taking back power. And taking back power means being able to, yes, it didn't happen overnight. I prayed and prayed. You learn to forgive, even when those people have not found it in their arrogant manner to say, sorry, I misunderstood you, or sorry, I should have done this. And all that coming from people not even giving you a chance. Someone in a family or a friend comes and whispers and lies because you've annoyed them without even knowing you've annoyed them. They jump onto the bandwagon. Before you know it, it becomes 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. They're still bearing grudges, and maybe in their eyes, you're still a kid, and then maybe, I will break her or something. I don't understand. It doesn't even make sense to me. But I took back power. And to take back power, like our vicar preached, and I am a great advocate of that. I've always preached it. Forgiveness is strength. In fact, the weak person is the person who's being held down by their bitterness towards you when you are busy living your best life. And being able to forgive someone is not always easy, but you do it for you. Mainly if you are a Christian and you want to make it with God. Because I don't know about you, I couldn't pray every night knowing that I'm angry at my brother or my sister or my friend. No. And sometimes people are so arrogant, nasty, to be quite honest, that it's very hard. And I cannot say it was easy. It is a conscious effort to release yourself and be at peace with yourself. Especially when God has blessed you, I'm only talking for myself. When God has blessed you, you're happy. Why would you let someone else steal your peace? You know you can forgive someone without necessarily even hearing them, unless they want to. But if they don't want to, do it for yourself. And even if you forgive someone, it doesn't mean you have to eat from the same plate and whatnot. You do it for yourself and for God. Because God said to us, or we all pray, forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. So who are you to say you're going to church, or you're praying at night, or you're a Christian, or you're a Muslim, or Jewish, or Hindu, if you do not forgive your friend, your brother, your sister, and who have you? And remember, forgiveness is power. It is power because you take back control and your heart is at peace. And you let the person and God deal with the rest. For it's not for us to judge. But I implore you, if you've been used to, like Laura, who talked about it rather almost like something to brag about, please cut it out. Bearing grudges, it doesn't do you any good. In fact, you are wasting your energy when you could be using that energy to make something positive with that friend, or with that sister, or with that brother, or with that spouse, or what have you. It doesn't help, anybody. You achieve more and better peace of mind when you are at peace with others around you, even if those people you think are far away. The truth of the matter is, anyone who's passed through your life has a link to your life. So with that being said, I hope you learn from today how to pray and let go of negatives. Life is too short, and learn from your mistakes with that friend, with that sibling or whatever, and learn how to live and let live. Learn to respect people's boundaries, because that's another thing that causes a lot of problems in families, with friendships. And learn to respect one another. Respect is not just about age. Just like you want someone younger to respect you, you yourself who's older should also learn to respect the younger person. In fact, the responsibility bears more on you, the older person, because I see this a lot in Asian and African culture. People are quick to jump. I'm the older brother, I'm the older sister. But meanwhile, when it comes to action, the older person is not even living by the example they should be teaching you, the younger person. So, with that being said, anyway, I want and hope you live a more positive life, live a happier life, and thank you again for stopping by. And please learn to forgive. Forgive your friends, forgive your neighbors, forgive your siblings, forgive your husband, forgive anyone, even people at work. Because when you do, you'll see the big weight lifted off your shoulders. Thank you again. Please hit the like button, subscribe to my channel to support me, and please share this with your friends and family. Until next time, my name is IJ, and thank you so much for stopping by. Bye-bye.